Good morning. I'm speaking to you, unfortunately, not from Australia, but from Toronto, where I'm with my daughter. And we'll spend a few minutes speaking. And if I'm speaking to you on this, it will be because our other system has not worked. First of all, let me say welcome to you all, because it is the opening of the book edited by Rhonda and myself. And I first of all would like to thank Rhonda for doing this and also being a co-editor with me, because I think it was a book that needed to be edited by more than one person, and I think it also needed to be written through chapters by several people. And I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the chapter authors for their work and being so cooperative of following our suggestions, asking questions, and putting it all into effect. It's probably important to say that in writing this book, we were trying to apply the ideas of quality of life and well-being from the field of intellectual and developmental disabilities. How does it apply to a wider sphere? As the book got written, of course, we found another advantage. There was feedback from the other chapter authors about how in their spheres of influence, with families, aging, in other fields of endeavor, such as visual impairment, how they had things which were well-being, which should be fed back into intellectual disability and its aspects of quality of life, a two-way process. And this really underlines another point. One of the aspects that's occurred in writing this book has been that it has a long background. I started work on this in the 1980s in terms of quality of life research. And in the about year 2000, 2001, moved with colleagues into family quality of life. In that process, we were fortunate enough in the first years of having a grant from Welfare Research Grants Canada, from Health and Welfare Canada. And I believe it was the first longitudinal study in Canada and possibly in the world. At least this is acknowledged by our colleague in the States, David Good. And so it's been long in being generated. And likewise, the book itself, which I think we started to formulate in 2010, and I will come to that, came out in 2014. And it illustrates, sadly, I think in many ways, that it takes a long while for research to get into practice. When we started lecturing on quality of life, we actually were lucky to have 2, 4, or 6 people attending. These days, it's often standing room only. It takes a long while for ideas to come into effect. So, in 2014, the book was published, and we're grateful to Nahama Baum, one of our chapter authors, for putting us in touch with Joab Merrick, who was a series editor, amongst other things, for Nova Science, who have published the book. We're grateful for Joab Merrick for helping us through the publishing process and encouraging, sometimes battling us to get into publication and to get the chapters finished. And in fact, this is now available. You will see the book today if you haven't already done so. I'm told by the publisher that if there are a number of people who want to purchase the book or the e-books, they may be able to make a greater reduction in terms of cost. I'd also ask that if you think the work is worthwhile, that in fact you encourage your libraries, colleges, universities, or agencies to get a copy. And I think you might hear more about why from Peter Mittler, who is also going to speak to you today. Another person you're going to hear from today, apart from one or two of, well, I know you're hearing from one of the European sets of authors from the Netherlands, but you'll also hear from Trevor Parmenter, who's been a long-time friend and colleague who's with you today, and I understand will be talking to you. One of the things that has also happened in writing the book, and some of this came from Trevor, and some of it also came from a colleague in the USA, Rudd Turnbull, was what we still need to do in quality of life, what we need to do to ensure that well-being and research takes place and gets into practice. Because this really is the challenge. It's all right writing declarations about rights. It's all very well carrying on to make policies. With goodwill, that can be done. But moving from policy to practice is extraordinarily difficult unless you have appropriate education systems to see there are adequate technical and people resources to put it into effect. This is a highly skilled area of functioning and cannot be done casually, even though we see all around us adverts saying that they are quality of life. So I hope that you enjoy today's proceedings. I would like to thank the university for hosting the opening of this book. We all hope it will be read, and I would like to challenge us all to see what we do for the next stage of writing, research, and practice. So thank you very much, and have a good day.